John Saxon. David Hartman, doctors expanding the horizons of the new medicine. Earl Ives. Joseph Campanella. James Parentino, lawyers defending justice in the nation's courtrooms. Leslie Nielsen. Harry Rhodes, public servants enforcing the laws of a challenging society. The bold one.
Hey, Paisan. How you doing?
Okay. How are you doing?
Terrible. I got this pain.
Why don't you see a doctor, doctor? What are you writing?
A letter to my girl, do you mind?
Very funny. I know how to spell stereotaxic, Dr. Stewart.
I'm impressed. Who told you?
I called the hospital library and said I was Dr. Stewart, and I didn't know how to spell stereotaxic.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. How soon are you going to stick those things in my head?
The electrodes? Pretty soon. You're not scared, are you, Rick?
Not too much.
See you, Paisan.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Rizzuto boy?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
One time the miracle drugs aren't performing. I don't know how much of a chance we have of helping him.
Well, he wasn't born with much of a chance. Some defects can already be detected in the cells of the fetus, and treatments have been devised to correct or modify the effects of certain abnormal genes. But in most cases, at this point, the amniocentesis procedure can only relieve prospective parents' fears or confirm them. Its ultimate value lies in the future, in the ability of science to not only detect defects in the unborn child, but to correct them in the womb. There's much work being done in the field of genetic research, both here at the Institute and elsewhere. But so far, the importance of genetic counseling is relatively unrecognized. It's one of my hopes that the counseling program we've developed here will serve as a blueprint for similar programs throughout the country, because only then can we put an end to the tragedy of children doomed before birth by inherited genetic disorders. Well, in our next session, we'll discuss the 50 or so recessive gene defects, including one type of muscular dystrophy and PKU. There are notes available on the amniocentesis procedure for your perusal. That'll be all for today. Thank you very much.
Paul, can I see you in my office for a few moments when you have time?
Sure.
After lunch.
Yes, sir. What was that all about?
No, you got me. Hey, I think you were really getting through them today.
Well, I hope so. I'd throw poison darts at him if I thought I'd get him off the dime.
That's no way to win friends and influence doctors.
Do you want me to answer that?
No, spare me.
Okay.
Dr. Saxon, please. Dr. to cells.
That was very informative, Paul. I got about 1 word out of 10.
Dr.
Oh, excuse me. I'd like to meet one of my colleagues. Dr. Stewart, Mrs. Michaels.
How do you do?
How are you, Mrs. Michaels?
Well, that's something Paul may have to find out.
Oh?
Can I buy you all a cup of coffee?
Oh, thanks. I've got some more rounds to make. Nice meeting you, Mrs. Michaels.
Thank you.
Good.
I'd love a cup of coffee.
Good. Oh,
Dr. Bracken, please.
Oh.
Dr. Bracken, please.
Laura, why don't you sit here?
Oh, fine.
Okay.
Well, so it's all come true for you, hasn't it?
If you mean the Institute, yes, it has.
All those years of hard work. No regrets.
Well, maybe one.
Oh, no. No, you're just being sentimental. You're remembering all the pleasures and none of the problems.
Well, I was responsible for all the problems.
No, you were not.
An orderly to
Your work.
304.
I was young and self-centered, and I just didn't think I could compete with it. Thank you. But I had no right to expect your complete and undivided attention.
You had every right.
An orderly to 607.
Did you understand the talk?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Some of the technical terms just went right over my head, but I think I got most of it.
It's really a very simple procedure. A hollow needle is inserted into the womb, and some of the amniotic fluid in which the fetus floats is withdrawn for testing.
Dr. Hunter, Dr. Paul Hunter.
Oh, that's you. I shouldn't have taken up so much of your time.
I took up a lot of your time 12 years ago.
Well, my time is expendable. Yours isn't. Never was.
You will think about the test, though, won't you, Laura?
Mm-hmm.
Discuss it with your husband, of course. If you think it'll help any, I'd be glad to meet with him and explain the procedure. As a matter of fact, I'd like to meet him anyway. What's he do?
He's an architect. Charles Michaels.
St. Cecilia?
An orderly to 112, please. An orderly to 112.
Thank you, Paul.
Don't thank me. I have a stake in your happiness.
We almost made it, didn't we?
Dr. Gold.
As I remember, we came pretty close.
Well, maybe you're lucky it didn't work out after all. Thank you. Bye.
Where were you?
Oh, I went to a lecture. I told you where I was going this morning.
Oh, you didn't tell me.
Well, all right. I thought I did.
Well, you didn't. You always say you've told me things when you haven't.
I'm sorry. I really thought I did. I'm so tired. Darling, why don't you fix us a drink while I get changed, huh?
What kind of lecture?
At the Craig Institute. Dr. Strickland arranged for me to attend it. It was given by an old friend of mine, Dr. Hunter. You remember I've told you about Paul. He's chief of medicine and medical research now at the Institute. He wants to meet you.
I'm not interested in meeting your old lovers.
Charles. Oh.
Did you tell him you were pregnant? That maybe that monster you're carrying won't be lucky enough to be born dead this time? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Laura. Please.
What else? The Rizzuto boy.
Oh, temporal lobe epilepsy.
Yeah, he's not responding to medication.
Have you considered stereotaxis?
Yeah, I spoke to Roth in Rowe's surgery. He agrees we ought to try it. If we can pinpoint the epileptic focus, I think the boy's a good surgical candidate.
Does he understand what's involved?
Yes.
How does he feel about it?
He's scared. But he's willing to try anything. Kid's a wonder.
The mother and father?
Well, they're cooperative.
Very early?
Right on the nose.
We were just finishing up.
Stick around, Ted. You're making quite a name for yourself.
Genetic counseling program.
It's about time it got some publicity.
Not according to some of our trustees. They feel we may be stepping out of our field with genetic counseling.
250,000 defective children born every year. And we're stepping out of our field.
There are medical considerations that they're aware of and sanguine about. But there are other aspects. When you start talking about neonatology, parthenogenesis, in vitro babies, artificially assisted fertilization, those have moral, religious, and social implications. Those are hot issues that hit people where they live. And I mean literally.
All right, they're hot issues, but what do they want us to do about them?
Slow down. Lay a proper foundation before we try to influence other hospitals and institutions. In other words, I suggest we go to work on our trustees. Sell them first. And make it stick. Dr. Roth is conducting a stereotaxic procedure on a patient with temporal lobe epilepsy. They've already done a ventriculogram.
Oh, a ventriculogram's, you see that special X-ray? That shows us the inner chambers and regions of the brain. And stereotaxis is a three-dimensional charting of the brain. It enables the surgeon to determine and pinpoint the exact angle of entry and the depth of the electrode placement.
Attaching the electrodes now, see? Subsequent depth recordings will localize the site of abnormal discharges while the patient is having a seizure.
Yes, if this procedure is successful, the condition can be alleviated through surgery.
Recording will commence tomorrow, won't it, Doctor?
Yes, after the patient recovers from the anesthetic. I'm glad you invited the trustees, David.
I think you scored a few points with it, Ted.
Yeah, but the real issue is not what we can do in surgery. It's that Mrs. Rizzuto is talking about having another child.
There can be many reasons for a damaged child. The mother may have been exposed to rubella or German measles and not even been aware. Also, there could have been an enzyme deficiency.
You wonder why anyone takes a chance of having a child at all.
Actually, the odds are overwhelmingly in favor of a healthy child. We wouldn't be worrying about the population explosion now if they weren't. And there's been a great deal of progress since Laura's last pregnancy. I don't know how much she's told you about amniocentesis.
Oh, I even drew a picture. Charles said it looked like a Picasso.
I can see how it would. Well, these tests may very well prove your fears to be groundless. And the fears usually are groundless.
And, if they're not?
Well, we try to treat the problem.
Well, suppose it doesn't work.
Oh, I think that comes under the heading of crossing your bridges before you come to them. Dr. Strickland has Laura's medical history, of course, but I'd like to have yours in case you decide to go ahead with the amniocentesis.
What's this got to do with me?
It was just a routine procedure. Charles Michaels. Any middle name?
No.
Age?
38.
Any serious illness? Any incidents of diabetes or epilepsy in your family?
No. I don't know. My parents died when I was a boy. I was brought up in Stanton by my father's sister. There was an uncle, too. They're both dead now.
I see. Have you had a checkup lately?
Yes. 2 months ago.
Oh, no. No, it was more like 2 years ago, wasn't it? Don't you remember? It was when you took out that policy.
Why do you always correct me? You always think you know everything, and you don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. He's just been very nervous ever since he found out about the baby.
Give him a chance to cool off.
Yes. I hope you won't think too badly of Charles. He is not the way you saw him. He was really wonderful. After the first baby 8 years ago, he was wonderful. I never would have survived otherwise.
I understand. You know, Charles looks older than 38.
Yes, I know. He's aged a lot in the last 2 years. And I don't suppose this now has helped any. Well, I'd better go.
Laura, about the tests.
I'll call you in a day or two. Thanks.
You're welcome. Would you like me to drive you?
Oh, no, that won't be necessary. Thank you. There's nothing to be concerned about.
Bye.
Bye.
You didn't come. I thought you wouldn't come. Not ever. Darling. Wait. I've got something to show you. Laura, look what I've got for the baby. Oh, turn around, Laura, please.
I snuck in the back way, Francis. Anything?
I was just going to page you, Doctor. Mrs. Michaels is here.
Oh, send her in. Hi, Laura.
Hello, Paul.
Here, let me take that. Sit down.
Thank you.
Did Charles do that to you?
Oh, no, of course not. No, now, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I walked into a door. Yes, I was thinking about those tests, and my mind was just a million light years away.
Francis, call down to the dispensary. Have him send up an ice pack, please.
Yes, right away, Doctor.
That's not necessary, Paul, really. As a matter of fact, it's probably a good thing that it happened. Because I thought to myself, well, now, if I'm going to be walking around in a fog and bumping into doors, I'd better make up my mind about those tests. So, here I am.
Good girl. Francis.
Yes, Doctor.
Get admitting now. Tell them that Mrs. Michaels is entering to undergo amniocentesis. They can send the forms up here. And then check with surgery, see if they can fit it into the schedule tomorrow.
Yes, Doctor.
Surgery? You're not going to do it?
No, one of the surgeons.
I thought it was a simple procedure.
It is.
But you'll be there, won't you?
Absolutely. There's nothing to be afraid of, Laura.
Oh, but there is. I told you. I saw my first baby, Paul.
Dr. Forrest, please. Dr.
Hi, Paisan. How you feeling?
Funny. I guess I had one of my spells.
You know something? If everything works out, you're not gonna have any spells anymore.
I guess you're a pretty good doctor.
Not bad for somebody who doesn't know how to spell stereotaxic.
That was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Yeah? I didn't think so. I cried all night.
I bet. Do you really cry?
Sometimes.
Oh. How long do I have to have these things in my head?
A few weeks. Why? You got someplace to go?
No, it's just that I'm kind of sick of them.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Will I have to have another operation?
What do you ask so many questions for? What do you want to do, become a doctor? Hello, Mrs. Rizzuto.
Hello, is it all right if I come in?
Of course.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Caroline. I was here all day yesterday, but you were asleep. How is he, Doctor?
Tell your mom how you are?
I guess the prognostic is okay.
Prognosis.
Prognosis.
I'm glad, sweetheart.
Mrs. Rizzuto, can you stop by my office before you leave?
Sure, Doctor.
See you later, Dr. Stewart.
Count on it.
How about it?
This is the last one. You want to take a look, Doctor?
Yeah.
Right as rain.
Shakespeare never said it better.
Anything else?
No, darling, just my comb and brush. I'll be finished in a second.
You look beautiful.
I feel beautiful.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all
I
right.
go in and out of doors so much I forget their time, so I ought to knock. You about ready to go?
Yes, just about. Thank you, Paul, for everything.
Look, I'm sorry about
Oh, forget it, will you? It was a difficult time for both of you.
Well, I'm finished with these now.
You sure you got everything?
Yeah, well, I'll just double check. Nope, I think that's it. You can close the case now.
Don't you ever go home? It's almost midnight.
Is it?
Anything wrong?
I don't know. I'd have to climb a family tree to find out, and I don't know whether I should.
Why not?
Well, for openers, nobody's asked me to.
Since when is that a criterion?
I have a personal relationship with the people involved.
I see.
A woman had a defective child a number of years ago, and now she's pregnant again. She underwent amniocentesis, and the results were negative.
And you're not satisfied?
No. There's a chance they've got a problem that we can't detect with amniocentesis.
And you haven't told them?
I can't. Not till I'm sure.
What would you do if there were no personal relationship?
Make sure.
Amazing, isn't it? How our emotions can cloud an issue. How difficult it is to maintain the proverbial scientific detachment when it hits close to home.
I'll need a weekend to go to Stanton.
Barton can cover for you. And I'll be here if anything unusual comes up.
Thanks, David.
It's a myth, you know?
What's that?
Scientific detachment. If men like Pasteur, Ehrlich, and Salk hadn't been emotionally involved, passionately concerned, without that, all those high-priced machines in your computer room would be just so much sophisticated junk.
Introducing Love in the...
Your age?
38.
I saw my first baby, Paul. It was dead. And it was a horror. Just let it be born all.
I was brought up in Stanton by my father's sister.
I'm going to have lots of children, Paul. Lots and lots of fat, healthy, noisy kids.
Sure, I remember Charles Michaels when he was a boy. His mother and father were killed in a car accident right after the war.
As I recall, Charles's grandparents lived until they were in their 80s. They were both active till the end. His Uncle Joseph died at 79, still chasing the girls. Charles's Aunt Mary raised him. She died in a sanitarium.
I had to go into the archives. Mary Michaels has been dead for more than 20 years.
I am really sorry to put you through this, Doctor.
Oh.
Is something wrong? Cause of death, complications due to advanced senility. That's rather an elementary way of putting it. I imagine senile dementia would have been more accurate.
Take a look at her age at the time of death. That's right. Mary Michaels was 42 years old when she died, from what the attending physician called advanced senility. Yes, Reverend. I need some information on a Charles Michaels and his family. Fine. Sure. Thank you, Reverend.
Nettie was his grandmother. Her maiden name was Hellstrom. It seems to me the family was from Middleburg, probably buried there in the old cemetery.
Is classic. Olaf, father of Sven. Sven, father of Nettie. Nettie married a man by the name of Michaels. They produced 3 offspring, Mary, Joseph, and Lauren. Mary inherited. Joseph did not. Lauren died in an automobile accident, but produced 1 child who also inherited the gene, Charles. Charles and Laura have produced 1 child, a defective stillborn, and 1 as yet unborn. The unborn child has a 50-50 chance of inheriting. What you're looking at is the blueprint of a genetic disaster. The disease is Huntington's chorea. It's one of the most insidious of all genetic disorders. Its onset is between the ages of 30 and 45. It cannot be detected in the fetus, in the child, or in early adulthood, not until the middle years, when the symptoms begin to manifest themselves. Choreiform movements, personality changes, severe intellectual deterioration, irritability, moodiness, euphoria, an illusion of advanced age, of premature senility. The causes of the degenerative changes in the brain are unknown. Palliative medication can diminish the symptoms with some success, but the disease is incurable.
Well, that's it, doctors. I asked you to sit in this morning because you'll soon be choosing your specialty. Each of you has indicated an interest in genetics. I hope that interest will extend to genetic counseling, which I consider to be preventive medicine of the highest order. Most of you are still under 30. You'll still be in your prime when we enter the 21st century. What you do between now and then may make it possible for man to overcome his hereditary limitations. Make it possible for all children to be born whole. I know I've disrupted your schedules. I won't keep you any longer. Good morning. Strickland suggested that he tell the Michaels call. He realizes, we all do, that it will be very difficult for you to do.
Well, difficult's not exactly the word I'd have chosen. I mean, how do you tell a woman that her supposedly normal baby might be carrying a time bomb? And that while she's thinking about it, she can watch her husband become a sick, mindless creature.
Stop tearing your guts out. You can't change it. Let her own doctor tell her, Paul.
No, I appreciate it, but it's something I have to do.
You lied. You said the baby was going to be all right.
As far as we can tell, the baby will be all right. Perhaps for its entire life.
And perhaps not.
Yes. I told you it's a gamble, Laura. If you don't want to take that gamble, your pregnancy can be terminated.
But what if it doesn't have Charles' sickness? Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Charles. Oh. Oh, I didn't understand. I always began to hate him. Well, now, what if the baby does inherit this? Will it be well as long as Charles was?
Probably.
And I could raise it. I mean, it could grow up like any other child.
Yes. I told myself I was not going to try to influence you. That I'd give you all the facts. And then let you make your own decision. But I have to say this. I have hope for the future. We're moving fast. Oh, there are still more questions than answers, but we're catching up. And anything can happen between now and the time your child has to face this thing, if he has to face it at all. But the one thing you must consider, Laura, is that you'll be raising your child alone.
There's nothing you can do for Charles. It's hopeless.
Nothing's hopeless. The disease is a locked door right now, but we're trying all kinds of keys. As long as we keep trying, there's always the possibility we'll come up with the right key. I'd like to start treatment on Charles now.
Oh, yes. Yes. Help him, Paul.
I'll do everything I can. Where is he?
Oh, he's probably in the park. He's been spending a lot of time, most of his time there, the last few months.
Well, I'll bring him back to the Institute with me, if you have no objection. Would you be all right here alone?
Oh, yes.
I'll call you as soon as I get Charles settled. Laura. About the baby.
Oh, I want it. Yes, I want it. I guess maybe I have hope for the future, too.
Mind if I join you?
Oh, sit down, Doctor.
It's pleasant here.
Oh, yes. Have you been to see Laura?
She told me I'd probably find you here.
Oh. I'm glad about the baby. I don't remember if I told Laura I'm glad.
She knows.
Oh? I think we'll move back to the country. It'll be better for the baby, and Laura could have a garden again. She used to do a lot of gardening when we lived in the country.
Was she pregnant then? With the first baby?
Oh, but that didn't stop Laura. She didn't want to live there anymore after the baby. I forget what I was going to say.
Doesn't matter. Would you come along with me, Charles?
Where?
To the Institute.
Why?
I think we can help you.
You mean I'm sick?
Mm-hmm.
You'd like me to be sick, wouldn't you? Then you and Laura could blame the dead baby on me. But you can't, because the new baby's going to be all right. And you already said so. You said so.
Come along, Charles.
Along where?
Where we can make you comfortable. Try to help you.
Laura would be worried.
She knows. She'd be there to see you every day. Make a note of any change in his INO, please, Maria.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning. Good morning. Charles Michael's been admitted for treatment. I'd like for you to take a look at him, David. Of course.
I understand you have some ideas on Mrs. Michael's defective birth.
Just a theory. She did a lot of gardening in the early months of her pregnancy and used pesticides. She may have absorbed some of the mutagens.
What have you got Michael's on?
We're trying first on diazepam to control the chorioform movements. Trial and error, but if we shoot enough arrows into the dark, there's a chance we may hit something.
Incidentally, Ricky's holding his own, and his mother's agreed to genetic counseling.
Good. Hey, how'd you convince her?
I gave her one of your lectures.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I got a date.
Anyone we know?
One of his trustees, as a matter of fact. Skeptics to the end. Good luck. Yeah.
Hi. Are you just a doctor or something different?
Just a doctor.
Good morning, Dr. Craig.
How you feeling, Paisan?
Okay, how you feeling?
Actually, I have this pain. Can I walk along with you?
Sure.